And here we are. What's going on, everybody? Hard Pass coming to you live.
Live edition, dude.
Live and in color, brother. How you doing, Remy?
Dude, another day in paradise, man.
Another day, same doll hair. So this is our first live. We kind of been talking about it for a while. We're kind of just gonna see how this goes. We might do like one or a couple lives here and there throughout the week to hit on some topics and stuff like that. And if we really like it, we're gonna continue to do it, and we're gonna strip the audio off of it, and it'll become our normal podcast, and we'll stream our podcast live, and then we'll strip the audio off of it, and we'll put it up on Spotify and all the other stuff. How you've been kind of listening to us. So, we're new to this. We don't have a lot extras going on right now, but it'll come in time. And it's just the next step of the evolution of Hard Pass. What are we saying?
Dude, loving it. Got to keep moving forward, dude. We don't know what we're doing right now, but we'll get there.
We got to keep moving forward, brother. That's for sure.
On,
What's going on, Ethan? How you doing, brother? Shout out Ethan Crowder in the building.
Let's go, dude.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. What's going on, man? Appreciate y'all tuning in. We are live on Facebook through our Facebook page, and we are also live on YouTube and our new YouTube account. So our YouTube is kind of weird. You can't just search Hard Pass right now and find us because we have to have so many subscribers, and the Braves are trash. That's messed up. So we have to have so many subscribers and like videos up. We have to have a couple videos and stuff before I can change the URL to that. So we're definitely trying to build up our YouTube. We're going to, that's a lot of stuff's going to go out on YouTube and stuff like that. So if you're not a follower or subscriber on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're going to get this thing going. So we got a lot to talk about today, Remy. Good day to go live.
Great day. Cut day.
Cut day. We have cut day in the NFL. We have a lot of stories coming out, just craziness across the board. And I mean, where to start other than Cam Newton getting cut from the Patriots? Now, I didn't expect this. What are you saying on this? I mean, they're all. I mean, we knew Mac Jones was a good draft pick. We knew that it kind of fell in your lap, and he's going to have success.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got to have success really early.
Yep, right now. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see it coming. I'm not a big Cam fan. But you're throwing Mac Jones out to the Wolves day one. I don't know. It's so Bill Belichick though. It's so New England Patriots. Like literally yesterday when he was asked about the quarterback competition, he was like, "Yeah, we still got a lot of things to figure out. We don't know who's the starter. Yeah, we do. We're cutting one of them." So, I don't know. I mean, the realist in me realizes that Cam Newton last year threw 8 touchdown passes in 15 games. So he's just not an effective, never forget. He's just not an effective passer. And I watched Mac in the preseason games, and he's very poised. He's calm. The arm talent isn't the best, and I think we all knew that coming out of college. But I mean, he looked fluid. He wasn't rattled. I think he'll be okay. But week one, I was not expecting week one.
I mean, I figured I knew Mac Jones was going to be the answer. Just watching him play, he's very decisive. He's very quick. He has a really quick throwing motion. But, dude, they're throwing him in the fire early. And I didn't think Cam looked bad in the preseason. But you kind of knew the writing was on the wall for him whenever they're talking about having to, he had the whole shoulder issue, which was really holding him back for the last couple of years. And he's talking about having to relearn how to throw a football. And you knew he was in trouble then. But – I mean, I don't know. I definitely don't think it's weird because being a Panther fan, I thought Cam was good enough to lead this team to a decent record this year as the helm. Like I thought that they would maybe give him next year or so. I mean,
I mean, they did better last year with him than I thought they were going to do. I mean,
Right.
what they go last year? 9-7, and
So
with a much less talented team. Like this year's team for them should be much better than it was last year.
right.
So they went 7-9. They went 7-9 last
Mhm.
year with, they had the most opt-outs of any team in the NFL. And their number one wide receiver most weeks was Damiere Byrd, for Christ's sake. So like this year's team should be a lot better talent-wise. I was thinking, you run it with Cam until it looks like he can't run it. And
Right.
then you move on to Mac. But now, they move on from Cam, and it's Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer. And we know what Brian Hoyer is. And that's not a good answer for anyone. So if Mac struggles, I mean, you just got to ride that out.
And I guess I see the reasons why they would do it. I mean, if they're pretty close, if they're the same guy or kind of close to it, or maybe Mac's a little better, you just get rid of the quarterback controversy from the rip. You get rid of Cam. You don't have to worry about the controversies of, hey, if Cam has a bad game, where's Mac? Or if Mac has a bad game, we need to put Cam back in. We rushed him too soon. So I get that part of it. But I thought this team had a decent enough roster to kind of go to try to make a push. I will say the division's really hard. We've already broke down in our past episodes. We haven't done the NFC yet, but we've done the AFC, and it is stout. I mean, there's some really good AFC teams that are going to miss out on the playoffs that are probably better than the Patriots, to be honest with you. But it's tough for a rookie quarterback to come straight in a, like you said, in a tough division and trying to take this team to the next level. And I mean, it's interesting. It's just an interesting move. If you had to put you on the spot, where do you think he's going to end up going?
I've been thinking about that a lot today, and I think Dallas, because their backup quarterback situation is not ideal. They just cut Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci today, and they kept Cooper Rush as the backup. Now, Cooper Rush didn't make the team last year as the backup, so that's a major hole for them with Dak coming back from a major injury, and everything looks like Dak is a go. But if something happens to Dak, they had Andy Dalton as an insurance policy last year.
Right.
Dalton was a very serviceable backup for them. I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas is the team that jumps in there and gives them a run at the backup spot. So, that's just, to me, it feels like the spot.
He could go to Dallas. The thing is, he's one of those guys that are, I think he's a little bit too good to be a backup. Still right now, I still think he could go be a starter for teams. But the problem is a lot of teams that are running out bad quarterbacks have quarterbacks in the waiting already, But here's the thing. And I know everybody is in the Fitzmagic thing. What if he goes to Washington? Ron Rivera's, Ron Rivera's the guy who drafted him for the Panthers to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
What if he goes to Washington? He would be a backup in Washington right now, clearly. Anywhere he goes right now, he's going to be a backup because you have to relearn the system.
Yeah, that's the big issue right now. The big issue right now is it's 2 weeks before the season starts. And so no matter where he goes, he's going to be a backup to begin with. Washington would be interesting. I don't know. I know they're really hype on Heineke after that playoff game because Heineke was really good in that playoff game. So if they wanted to go that route, that's a good place because of his comfort level with Ron Rivera. I know they still get along well. I think that would be a good spot for him, and it's one of those things too with Ryan Fitzpatrick is there are games where he's a world beater and then there's games where he's just terrible. So it's that's been the story on Fitzpatrick for years is he will have stretches of looking like a Hall of Famer and then he'll have stretches where he's just, you can't even play him. So, that's a team I could see. There's not a team that jumps out to me right now that I go, yeah, he could step in there and be a starter like almost right away.
Houston.
Well, yes, honestly, Houston should.
I'm just saying.
Well,
right now I don't know if they're in the business of wanting to win football games.
Well, so I don't think they are. But I mean, he's a massive upgrade, I think, over Tyrod Taylor. I mean, they're very similar style guys. Cam's just better than Tyrod. We know what Tyrod is. He's a game manager and he's on a bad team. So game management on a bad team is, I don't think, what you're looking for. I mean, maybe it is what they're looking for. They don't want to win, I don't think.
Maybe if I was Cam, I would give it a couple weeks and see if anybody gets hurt.
See if someone gets hurt. That's probably his best bet, is to see if someone gets hurt before he just jumps in to an offer. But so I wanted to get your thoughts on this, and because it is shocking. I don't think anyone saw him getting cut. Do you think it's anything to do with the off the field stuff with him? We know he just missed a week due to a misunderstanding of the COVID protocols. And, that's very much not the Patriot way. Do you think that stuff had anything to do with it?
I mean, I would hate to speculate on a guy, but
I mean, it's Bill Belichick.
You kind of got to think so. I mean, everything kind of goes into it, I think. But probably Cam always brings his Camness, He's got his own swag and his own shit going on where it's always like that. But I mean, like I said, I think there's some teams out there that could really use his services this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I would probably give it a little bit and see how everything shakes out. Because like we said Houston. I would, like what if Kirk Cousins goes out in Minnesota? There's a lot of teams that could use him, I think. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up landing. Maybe Jameis Winston's trash and he goes to the Saints. I don't know. There's just a lot of different. I think there's a lot of options for him. If I was him, I would slow down, not rush it, really assess your situation, because he's now in the process of getting these 1 year, 2 year deals. He's not getting a big contract anywhere. Yeah. He thought in his mind, he was probably like, I'll go to the Patriots. I'll try to go have a really good year, and then I'll get offered a 3 or 4 year deal in his mind. But that's just not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, like NFL is right around the corner. We have college football coming up. We're going to bounce around a little bit on this live on our first episode of Hard Pass Live Edition. We're going to kind of interact with you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Hit us up in the comments. We'll kind of get to them along. But like I said, we're going to bounce around to a bunch of different sports. We're not going to concentrate on NFL or whatever. So, also, I don't know if you've seen, the South Carolina Gamecocks announced their starting quarterback.
It's me. I'm the starting quarterback. It could have been. Could have been anybody.
It's so South Carolina is right now. What's going on, Dad? How you doing? So South Carolina is to the point right now to where we're going to be in transition, and we're going to be in transition for a good amount of years. I will say I like the head coach. I like the way we're headed, but we're going to be bad. And if anybody thinks that we're going to be good, you need to look at who's going to be the starting quarterback for South Carolina. Right now, it's 30-year-old Zeb Nolan, who
number 25.
Number 25, who has now officially changed his number to number 8.
Oh, thank God.
So he's now number 8. He was a grad assistant. He bounced around in college a good bit. And he bounced around in college a good bit, all kind of different schools and stuff in, North Dakota, Iowa State, all kind of places. Well, so we brought him on as an assistant. And let's just say Will Muschamp left us in a pretty bad spot at QB. And he's now our starting quarterback week 1.
He wasn't on the team 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he was coaching.
If you're a quarterback on the roster who played in spring, who has been there for the practices, how bad do you feel if you're a quarterback on South Carolina where you hire a guy? I don't know. I got to find out his exact age. I don't know.
It's bad, dude. Listen, it's bad. It's embarrassing. I mean, bro. I was hoping we could sneak by without it becoming a big deal. We were on the
it's
front page
everywhere.
of ESPN today.
It's everywhere.
We're all over the place on ESPN. They're like, wait a minute, they're actually going to start a graduate sleeper. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be during the game, as a sleeper.
Asleep.
Because man, he was Trey Lance's backup.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, of course, he doesn't start over Trey Lance.
Commit.
Originally Iowa State, transferred to North Dakota State, backed up Trey Lance. I mean, but all right. So this got me thinking earlier. So because of course it's all coming to a head when you start a graduate assistant at quarterback. But you think back over the past several years, being a Gamecocks fan, one of the things that we've recruited well is the quarterback position. We've recruited it well, but none of them have panned out. None of them.
So-called 4-star guys, Elite 11 guys, none of them worked. And to be honest with you, I'm not even too high. You know, I mean, we had the whole debacle with Muschamp was here, and what was the guy that was committed from? He was from Pennsylvania. Oh man, what was his name? Little scat guy that ended up going to play baseball at Cal.
Oh, McElwain, Brandon McElwain.
So McElwain's going to be the savior of the program. He was terrible. McElwain was trash, and then we transitioned into Jake Bentley. And then we got Jake Bentley to reclassify because we're so bad at quarterback. So he immediately comes in, and to give Jake Bentley credit, he was okay. He just never was any good, really. To be honest with you, I mean,
he just regressed so much. He looked like a star as a freshman, and then just never really reached that peak again. I'm not one of those people that sits here and just shits all over Jake Bentley. He was decent.
Right.
But what we saw originally, we thought we had a superstar, and he never panned out to be that. And then, you know, we all know the Hilinski thing, everything that happened with Ryan Hilinski, freshman, same thing. Looked like, okay, this kid's got what it takes to be a good football player. Sophomore, benched for a 45-year-old man that couldn't play in the Mountain West. So now he's gone. But then also, too, like I look at this team, and I know that, like, DeCarrion Joyner has moved on to try and be a wide receiver. But you're talking about a Mr. Football in the state of South Carolina at the quarterback position. And we can't even design something for him. We've got Luke Doty, who's hurt. So, of course, I don't think Zeb Nolan is going to be the guy past week 1, hopefully. But I'm not even sold on Doty. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not even the biggest Doty fan. What I saw last year from Doty was he was just another dude who could run around but couldn't complete a pass. So
it's tough times coming. They released the depth chart, the official depth chart. Man, this team is not bringing a lot of talent to the table.
So I will say, you know, I've grown up now, you know, being a big Carolina fan, and I've kind of, you know, I would always talk to my dad about Carolina, and I always be like, you know, and it just his like confidence was always like, well, they'll just do what they end up doing. You know, they'll figure, you know, they'll be okay. Where I'd be like, no, Dad, you got to understand, they got this and they got this and they got this, and they're going to be good in this, and I promise you, they're going to. And now that I'm slowly, you know, I'm 31 now. Now I'm getting up there, and I've removed myself from that believing so much into it. Now I kind of see where I'm like, you know what? I like baseball. And Carolina football,
I've moved on.
Carolina football, it is what it is.
It's an unhealthy relationship.
My granddad, God bless his soul, he went to all the football games. We were what we were, you know. He waited for so long for us to be good. We got decent, but it's just one of those things where I think as a program, you have to start from the ground up again. And we have to get a lot of stuff right, which we didn't get anything right with the last regime. We didn't know how to coach. We would get decent players, but we never put them in positions to succeed. We didn't know how to coach them upright. And now you got to look at it. I think they have the right guys there. It's just going to take a long time. I mean, we're literally starting coaches at quarterback. I think our defense will be good this year. I think, you know, I like our front seven, which is the first time I could say I like our front seven in a really long time.
It's been a while.
I think, I mean, we have 2 really good pass rushers. I mean, when was the last time you could say that? Back when, you know, they had
Clowney
and those guys. So I like our front seven, and it starts up front at line, offensive line and defensive line. So if we can get those two right, I think we're going to be in some games that we probably shouldn't be in. And I think we'll be more stout, but we're not going to win too many football games. Let's just get that straight.
I mean, just go ahead and see. For me, I've set the expectation for myself of if this team wins 4 games, I'm ecstatic.
And that's fine, and I'm okay with that. I just want us, I just want us to be looking like a football team. Like we can lose 28-20, 35-20. You know what I mean? And just be outgunned, but looking like we're doing stuff right. Where, dude, under Muschamp in the last regime, we would show up and we couldn't even tackle. We was giving up 8 yards a clip running.
That's because most of our good players had already called it a season.
My dad says
3 total if we sneak up on Troy. Honestly, that same thoughts. I feel the same way. I don't think people, dude, it's tough. Caleb, if you're still in here, bud, your high hopes.
Listen, I love
We'll beat Eastern Illinois. We'll beat them.
I get it because I'm right there with.
We're like 41.5-point favorites. We're not scoring 41 points.
I will say we have really good running backs. I'm being serious. We have a good offensive line. We have a good front seven. Our secondary may be one of the worst secondaries in the world. So we're just not, it's a lot of like mismatch, mosh posh kind of stuff. And I mean, for me and Caleb, he thinks
50-3. I'll end this live right now.
All right. Let's get talking about it.
50-3.
Listen, I've been seeing us lose to the Citadel. I've been seeing us complete a Hail Mary moss ball to beat Louisiana Tech. You know what I mean? That was with NFL players.
The lowest of the lows.
Much love, Stilly. Thanks for checking us out. But yeah, so I mean, it's just like one of those things where I'm going to be real now. And to be honest with you, college football now, the point has kind of got boring.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about it in one of our podcasts earlier about how the playoff needs to expand and how we have to get something going, some sort of excitement for watching the games. I don't know if you saw, but I think it was ESPN. Who will make the college football playoff? And the picture is literally Ohio State. It's Ryan Day, Nick Saban, Alabama, Dabo Swinney, Clemson. And it's sad. We have 4 spots, and I can almost guarantee you those 3 people lock one of them in.
And the last one will be Oklahoma.
And it's probably Oklahoma in the last one. So, I mean, that's the issues I think that we're dealing with college football is you're taking a lot of the fun out of it because we honestly, I think most people think that that's going to be the college football playoff. The regular season doesn't mean anything because we know those guys are going to be in it.
It's like I want to sit down with these guys, the people who make the decisions, and be like, listen, I love college football. I grew up watching Division II football. I'd watch any kind of football. You know what I'm saying? I would literally watch the MACtion on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch the Thursday night games. I loved it. And now it's got to the point, and I'm a diehard Carolina fan, diehard college football fan, and I'm bored of it. Imagine that getting to the point where imagine a casual.
Yeah.
They think Alabama and Clemson are going to play, and then Ohio State's got the whole North. They have to represent the whole North. I mean, it's just kind of, like I said, it's just getting to the point where it's kind of stale, and they need to really concentrate on trying to get more of the, when was college football really great? Is when you could watch Boise State beat Oklahoma. Like, people remember those kind of games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you remember the upsets. And like this past year with Coastal, people care more about Coastal Carolina than anything.
Yeah.
That was cool to follow.
It was wild. It was so much fun to watch. And it's because it's the underdog story. I mean, I'm a big underdog story guy. So, yes, you give me a story like Coastal coming in and playing some of these teams, beating some of these teams they're not supposed to be beating. But I just hate that it ended there. Like it's like, okay, you had a great regular season. Go enjoy your Liberty Bowl or whatever. Expand the playoff. Give me a chance to let me watch some of these lower end schools have, because that's like a program altering win if they can pull one of them off. Even if they don't win the championship, if they win in the first round and they beat Oklahoma, that's massive for a school like that. And I would love to watch it, but until they make a move, until they expand out of 4 teams, we just won't get that. We'll get Oklahoma,
last
Clemson.
year BYU had to schedule a team a week before they played, traveled across the country, played them, lost to them by a couple points. What a football game that was against Coastal, just to try to sneak in. Those teams should have been in the playoffs, because I'm not saying they would have won, but dude, you got to at least give them a shot.
It's like I said, it's better than me watching Clemson, Alabama for the 15th time. I just give me something else, anything.
So, we're going to kind of have more of a, with football starting back up. Really, I mean, we had football last week, but nobody gives a rat's. Dude, there was like 1,000 people at UCLA games. Did you see that?
Oh, I saw it.
You wonder why the Pac-12 is in trouble? Because nobody goes to their games. And in the comments, everybody's commenting like, dude, it was 80, 90 degrees out. Everybody's at the beach. Nope. Okay.
Go to the game.
Go to the game.
It's a walk. It's a walkthrough. You're playing Hawaii. Go enjoy your team putting up 50 points.
I mean, it was fun. It was good to see. We also had some high school football we're going to talk about here.
This is the topic. I'm so excited about this.
I don't know if any of y'all was watching this week. So I am the academy out of Florida. What is it? IMG. IMG Academy. They recruit the best players in the country to go get scholarships. Powerhouse. I mean, they're studded. They were playing a team out of Ohio, supposedly. What was their name again?
Bishop Sycamore.
Bishop Sycamore on national television.
Very funny.
And they were playing Bishop Sycamore on national television, and the guys are like, listen, we don't know too much about this team. We don't know too much about Bishop Sycamore. We know they say that they have guys on their team that are D1 players. We don't know too much about it. They lost by a lot. Their players are getting hurt. And it turned out they're about 21 years old.
And getting just absolutely destroyed by 17-year-olds.
One of the craziest stories that I've ever
seen. I don't know how this happened. How did this come to fruition? So not only are they playing IMG, which is, like I said, a national powerhouse in high school football, they're on ESPN in the middle of the day on a Sunday playing a football game, and they're not a real school. They don't exist. Somebody pulled up the address that they had listed. It was some duplex in Ohio. The players, like you said, most of the players on the team were already out of high school. They were 20 and 21-year-old like JUCO dropouts that are playing and absolutely getting destroyed by this group of high schoolers. I mean, the game ended 58-0. And at one point, the ESPN analysts are like, man, this is like someone's going to get hurt. This is bad for their safety. They're like, they told us they had some D1 players. That's clearly not the case.
We cannot confirm this. Turns out the head coach had a arrest warrant out on him for fraud. The whole thing is crazy, and it's going to be a 30 for 30, and I cannot wait to watch it.
I mean, and it's wild because ESPN is like, they lied to us. Okay, well, how did they get on TV? Oh, well, the marketing people that put this game together. Also, Bishop Sycamore played a game 2 nights before. Highly illegal. Can't play football games one after the other like that.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. And like I Googled them earlier. I Googled Bishop Sycamore, and they have a website. Most of it's empty. You click on stuff. It's like, oh, information cannot be found clearly because it's not a real school. But also one of the funnier things I saw was like most of these schools that they're named, Bishop something, it's after a bishop. It's usually after like a local bishop. It's, tied into, the religion and everything. A sycamore is a tree. There was no Bishop Sycamore. There is no Bishop Sycamore. He was not a person. That was just a name that they felt like, hey, we could pass this off. But also, like you said, dude, the coach was wanted for fraud. Maybe you don't want to be on ESPN national TV when you have an arrest warrant out for fraud. it's the whole story is just insane.
So-
and I think they play a couple other, well, they haven't had them on their schedule,
Now
a
they're
couple other like
canceling them now.
big name schools that they were trying to play.
Yeah, they were swindling. So they was coming in and convincing these kids and their families. And there's like a whole breakdown of it now. One kid came out and was giving you like the backstory of it and stuff. But just wild stuff. I mean, how shitty is ESPN to like, you don't even vet this? Like, you don't run it up the ladder and like, can we check out, make sure this is a legit team? They didn't even submit a roster. They were just giving players numbers. They didn't know any of their names.
I didn't really watch the game. I heard like some of the jerseys didn't match.
It was, the quarterback was also the punter. He got one of his punts blocked. It was just hilarious.
Just unbelievable story.
Football's back.
I mean, honestly, I'll watch it again. 58-0 high school game.
I mean, now I think more people are probably wanting to go back and watch it. And like, there's videos of the guys taking their helmets off, and the guys got like earrings in, tattoos everywhere and stuff.
Oh, yeah, because he's 25 years old.
Because he's a grown man.
Grown man. That man's got to pay his taxes after the game.
But yeah, so we're gonna come out. Now it's time. Now it's really time for the nitty gritty stuff. We're gonna do. We still don't know how we're gonna do this live stuff, where we might just go live and do the whole podcast, and like I said, and rerip, and we'll take the audio out and post it on Spotify, or we'll do separate things. So we're kind of wait and see on that. We're of course going to do our pick'ems because we enjoyed the NFL pick'ems. Nobody beat us last year on NFL pick'ems.
Undefeated.
We went undefeated on the year. We did our pick'ems in college. We ended up doing pretty decent in college pick'ems. We didn't really do it against anybody. We just kind of did it for, if you was going to bet or whatever, which in 12 days, all the betting apps go live in Arizona. So you can bet from your house on your phone on all the different kind of bets. So it's kind of cool.
Good for you. Not here.
Yeah, South Carolina's probably way behind on that kind of stuff. but that's kind of neat. Let's see here. What else we have? Oh, in the NBA. NBA today. Had some news coming out for the Sixers. Not great.
Not great news.
So Ben Simmons, I had the tweet somewhere. Ben Simmons is pretty much, he's came out and said that he's not showing up. He's going to boycott, he's not going to show up to camp if they don't have him traded. He wants out. Nobody, for a while there, they couldn't find him. No, he would not reach back out to the Sixers organization. So yeah, he wants a trade. When you come out like that, you're doing your team a real disservice because your trade value is just going to go even lower.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, I'm not going to show up. So the team calls him up and like, yeah. So we know this dude's not going to show up to camp. So
yeah,
we'll offer you way less.
Yeah. What's the lowest price at this point? Yeah. I mean, it's, I think we all kind of expected it. I think we all knew that they were shopping to try and get him out of there. But this is pretty big just to see it. Like, even if you don't trade me, I won't be there. So trade me or I'll just sit here and waste away. And in the NBA, we know that's just not going to happen. They'll have to take something. They'll have to take some sort of deal to get him out of there.
Simmons contract.
But it's crazy, man. I mean, I like you said, the biggest thing is he kills the trade value. But in all fairness, for him, it now makes it where they have to move him. They can't keep like dragging this along and saying, "Oh, maybe get close to the season, he'll come. We'll patch it up." No, he's gone.
He's year 2 into this will be his second year
mm-hmm.
into a 5-year contract,
and it's massive.
He made $30 million last year. He's scheduled to make $33 million this year, $35 the next, $38, and then $40.
I mean, listen, I've done my Ben Simmons trashing throughout the podcast. I'm not going to sit here and keep beating a dead horse, which I'd almost rather trade for a dead horse at this point. I don't know what you get for him, dude. I'm going to be real honest.
I mean, The word on the streets is they want like 4 first-round picks and an all-star or something crazy. And you're not going to get it, man, because this contract is absurd. It's going to take up a spot where a normal superstar, that's a superstar slot, is what's going to take up on your team. And you have to hope that whichever team wants to get him is going to have to grind their ass off and get him better as a basketball player, which he's been in the league for 5 years now. Who
That's
knows?
not happening.
You are who you are. Got to work on his work ethic because he hasn't learned how to shoot yet. It's a big project that you're taking on, and it's a big risk, man. And it's almost to the point to where the Sixers are going to move him for nothing just to get him off the salary. Is what's going to end up happening.
And then the other thing too was the Tyrese Maxey part of it. The reports coming out that they would have to move him too.
So sources say that there's a high chance that Tyrese Maxey, which is heir apparent point guard, who balled out against Atlanta off the bench, looks really good, will be a part of any Ben Simmons trade because they have the same agent. Rich Paul says he wants both his clients out of Philadelphia. Says a few local Philadelphia-based organizations had planned on partnering with Maxey on some community events. They were told to cancel those plans. Paul would not like Maxey to grow roots in Philly if he could be gone. So
that's wild.
It's kind of messed up because Maxey this will be a second year. And it's a big year for him, especially whenever they're trying to hand over the keys to the team to a young kid who's they're a playoff team. Big step in his career, but Rich Paul, which is the agent of both Ben Simmons and Maxey, is using Maxey as a pawn.
I don't like it from that standpoint at all. I mean, the agent's job is to do what's best for the player, and what's best for the player in this situation is being the starting point guard on a really good team, not just immediately moving him out because you're. It's like he's
using him as a pawn in the Ben Simmons situation.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just I don't like it from that standpoint. I think Maxey is better off.
Paul to begin with.
Yeah.
He's an agent. He's like LeBron's dude. That's the only reason why he's even Clutch Sports guy. I don't like it. It stinks bad. It just doesn't sit right with me at all. I will say that I get it. I get that Ben Simmons wants out because there is no way Ben Simmons could put on a Sixers uniform and run out on that court after what he did in that playoff series. It's not possible.
They'll eat him alive.
They will eat him alive in Philadelphia. And you got to understand what's really holding this deal up is Philly. Philly are asking way too much, man. If they were really going to move him, they would have moved him before the draft.
Mm-hmm. Now they got it. Yeah. I saw one. It was, I think.
Shout out, Kirsten.
I think it was Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley plus draft compensation. I mean, that's what you're going to have to live with. And I mean, in all honesty, maybe, I don't know. But I think Buddy Hield's a great shooter, and I think Bagley's not what we thought he was going to be coming out of the draft, but it's better than nothing because right now that's what they're getting. It's nothing.
It makes their team better.
Yeah.
That draft would make the Sixers better. The problem is they want some crazy shit like Damian Lillard or some stuff like that. Not going to happen.
Yeah. I saw a tweet. It said Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum, who says no. And I said the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers say no. So we'll have to see. Warriors get Simmons for nothing from what I hear. Well, I mean, they got to give up something because the Warriors ain't got no money left. They're giving Steph Curry $400 million a year, I think. So
they're going to, if the Warriors trade anybody, they're going to have to get rid of that. You know what? Wiggins deal was pretty big, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Wiggins is going to be included in any deal.
Yeah. Has to be.
The piece that's worth something is the center. Problem is his contract's not big.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to piece together one or two bigger contracts to get that Ben Simmons deal. Didn't I see something saying that Simmons wants to go to one of the California teams? Like that's his preferred destination is to end up in California. I think I saw something like that.
I don't think Ben Simmons gets
I don't think you get to
anything.
make that call. I think it's just
Anything.
whoever comes out with the best offer is what Philadelphia is going to
Ben
take.
Simmons don't know if he's right-handed or left-handed. He
That's
damn sure don't
also
get to
true.
choose what team he's going to play.
That's also true. Kirsten, what's up? What's up,
Shout out
Sib?
Kirsten in the building.
Yo.
But yeah, so like I said, while we're kind of just randomly bouncing all around, if you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. We'll definitely talk about them a little bit, answer them, and everything as we go along. But yeah, man, going back to Ben Simmons, it's going to be ugly. I think this breakup is going to be ugly. The Sixers are going to be left holding the pot. They wanted the process to work so bad, but the problem is, I think Ben Simmons can still be a good basketball player somewhere where his offensive game is going to be post-ups, and he's still a really good defender. Like, don't get me wrong, he's an elite defender.
If you could put him in a situation like the situation Draymond lives in Golden State, where they don't rely on him to score a basket at all. I mean, Draymond gets under 10 points a game. But he plays great defense, and he can, walk the ball up the court, pass really well. If he can find a situation like that, then yes, that's a good spot for him. The issue is any team that's going to be getting him is going to have to give up something, and I don't think there's going to be a team that's built like that where he can't be a scorer at all. He just can't score. So we'll see. Maybe he just gets sent to a really bad team, and they're like, all right, we got Ben Simmons now.
But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good spot to think about. Like Draymond Green, he could be a way better.
I mean, he would be a better version of Draymond for sure, but it's got to be the right situation.
All right, we got some questions coming in from Travis here.
All right.
2 topics for y'all.
Thanks, Cutno.
What's up, Cutno? How you doing, brother? We also had a shout out from Adam earlier, and he was asking if that was Baker Mayfield.
That's my spirit animal.
Funny.
Yeah, that's my spirit animal.
So we have Travis Farrell here saying 2 topics for y'all. First, how y'all grade the Lakers roster moves this year, and can they make a championship run? Thoughts on Carolina football this year? So we were talking a little bit of Carolina football earlier.
Terrible. 4 wins max.
So yeah, we're not going to be good this year. When we're done with everything, I think you can go back and kind of rewatch it. It was like the second topic we talked about, because we're talking about Zeb Nolan being our starting quarterback. I think the future's bright for Carolina, but it's years. We're going to be bad for a couple of years. So we're not going to be great there. We will kind of talk about Lakers here. The Lakers really pulled a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know. Their roster looked pretty unmovable. And all of a sudden you got a trade partner willing to take on a bunch of bad players. I mean, average players. And they end up getting Russell, which, don't get me wrong, I don't think Russell Westbrook's the best fit, but it's way better than what you had.
Yeah.
Because you know what he'll do? He'll try.
Yep. He will bust his ass. So kind of just like what you were talking about, I didn't really see any way for this roster to get too much better. I thought they were just going to have to kind of re-up with what they had last year. Now, as far as the fit, I don't love the fit of Russell Westbrook. I thought when the original talks of Buddy Hield being that move, I thought that was a much better fit because of his 3-point shooting. But Russell Westbrook's the best player, the best individual player that the Lakers could have even remotely thought about getting. I think it takes a lot of pressure off of LeBron, especially during the regular season. He's getting old now. I mean, he's up there. Yeah, he's been playing basketball for a very long time. So he's a guy that LeBron can actually sit on the bench for a little bit of time. He doesn't always have to be the point guard. He doesn't always have to run the show. And like Terry said, I mean, my man's going to try. He's going to go out there and bust ass night in and night out. That is Russell Westbrook's thing. It could be game 5 out of 82, and he's going to go out there and be just the most relentless guy that he can be. And that is the one thing he has. And that's why you see like the stats and everything that come along with Russell Westbrook. You get those because of his tenacity. The big question is going to be playoff time with Russ. That's always been the question with Russ. I think having LeBron helps him in that standpoint of he can kind of take a back seat once it really gets to be crunch time. The other moves, I absolutely love a lot of the moves. I think bringing back Dwight Howard. He might be a 15-minute a game center, but it's just a good defensive rebounding guy. That's another high energy guy. So I love that move. Carmelo
Immediately makes that second unit better.
Yeah, I think Carmelo brings still some offensive punch off the bench, which they've been lacking over the past couple of years. I think the most underrated one that no one talks about is getting Kendrick Nunn off of the Heat. Kendrick Nunn almost won Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. And whenever he signed on, I was like, wait a minute, like, how is Kendrick Nunn a free agent? He was just a rookie. And so, they bring him in, add just some more depth. Now, they are old. The team is old. It's old as dirt. I mean, there's no denying that. But, at the end of the day, they're a playoff team, no doubt. 100% they're a playoff team. And so all that matters is once they get in the playoffs, what does this team look like? So I don't think that age is going to hurt them that much.
You said Melo's a bench player. He's going to play the fourth quarter. He's going to play when it matters most.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that matters. Like you said, for the Lakers, it's getting there, getting to the playoffs. And, you're going to have this whole cliche of they haven't really played too much together or they have to knock off the rust, blah, 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 blah. If Anthony Davis doesn't go out with a groin, they beat the Suns.
Yeah.
They beat the Suns in round one. So I think they'll be fine. It'd be interesting to see. I think that you have to clearly say they're favorites.
Yeah,
I think any
yeah.
team with LeBron, everyone's talking about KD's the best player on the planet, blah 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 blah. LeBron's still the best basketball player in the world, and I think it'd be pretty cool for a Nets Lakers final.
It would be unbelievable
Mm-hmm.
if we got Lakers Nets final. It would be wild.
And I mean, so I mean, for the Lakers, you have to say championship or bust.
Well, yeah.
At least making it to the final.
If LeBron James is on your team, then it's championship or bust. You don't have a choice.
All right, we got a question coming in here from Caleb. Looks like it's a gambling bet here. Notre Dame is a 7-point favorite over Florida State. Georgia's getting 3 versus Clemson. Locks of the week.
Locks of the week.
What you think?
I think Notre Dame, is going to probably be a much better team than Florida State. Florida State's been rebuilding for a couple of years. I like that. I think Notre Dame wins that game by more than 7. Georgia, Clemson, I have no clue. I have no idea.
That's a toss-up. So
it's a toss-up because I don't know what
lock.
I don't think. I mean, Clemson's still going to be Clemson because at the end of the day, they lost Trevor Lawrence. Oh, here comes a 5-star quarterback. It's irrelevant. They just replace 5 stars with 5 stars. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in watching that game. I think it's going to be a great game.
If it was me, I would steer clear of that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that bet.
It's tough because I get where you want to bet Georgia here. I think Georgia's going to be a sleeper this year. I really do. I think they have a really good roster. They're going to be really good. Their quarterback, he's a seasoned guy, but Clemson has a lot of talent, man, just pure talent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough for me to come into it and be like, yeah, I know for a fact that that's going to happen. I will say that I will fade Florida State for the rest of my life, I believe. They're terrible. They've been terrible. I don't know. Notre Dame's one of those teams that's always solid. You got to respect the gold helmets. Shout out Notre Dame. Always love the gold helmets. So I guess if that's the one you want to roll with, I would steer clear of that Georgia +3.
Yeah. I like the Notre Dame one. I'm not touching Georgia Clemson because I just don't know.
Yep. Yeah, so there's some stuff here. We got a big it's the calm before the storm for me. We have the college football this week. Then we'll have the NFL the week after. Really looking forward to the NFL. We got a lot of stuff coming up there. We're going to post our NFC stuff. We still haven't released that yet. Our NFC predictions and all that kind of stuff. So, and we're going to be putting that out on the pod. Look out for that on Spotify and stuff like that. I think the NFC is going to have a down year compared to the AFC, just off the cuff looking at it and stuff like that. NBA's coming up. NBA,
it's right around the corner.
A couple months.
Yep. We don't get a whole lot of time off.
We'll talk a little. So, did you see what's going on at the Mets?
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic.
So the Mets had this thing to where well, the Mets, they were in the lead for the NL East, and they didn't really go all in at the at the trade deadline, and the Braves did. I will say the Philly made some nice moves as well that I liked. And the Braves have been on a tear. Philly's kind of waffling a little bit. They're okay. They're like 4 games back or so, 3.5, something like that. And the Mets just fell off a cliff. And in New York, their fans are assholes. But I mean, they haven't been scoring runs all year, to be honest with you. Their offense has been so shitty all year. They went out and got Javi Baez, a big name. Cool, look at me. We have Javi Baez. He strikes out. I think I saw a stat in his last 164 games or so. He has 230 strikeouts to 20 walks. That's not getting it done.
That's insane to me.
There was a pitch the other day. The dude threw him a changeup. He was so far out in front of it. He swung. The bat landed, then the catcher caught the ball.
My man's swinging, bro.
It was pretty crazy.
He's
so
swinging.
Him and Lindor are really good buddies, and they've came out, and now that they're winning some baseball games that they, whatever. They're now thumbs downing anytime they do anything good. So they look at the fans and the dugout, the Braves do the chop thing. Well, they're thumbs downing. So
yeah, they got mad because the fans were booing them, and so now they thumbs down as their celebration as a way to try and get back at the fans. It's an ugly situation. It's an ugly situation.
And then the guy from the Mets came out and was like, "Listen, it's the fans' right to boo you if you don't need to disrespect the fans, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, this is something you need to handle in-house. Because
this doesn't need to be, the team response doesn't need to be out in public.
No, you need to go in there and tell those guys that to their face.
Yes.
Not throwing Javi Baez under the bus and Lindor and all those guys literally under a bus. Listen. And I will say they shouldn't have been doing it to begin with. I will say I don't agree with what they've been doing. They've been sucking. And if the fan wants to boo, they wants to boo you. But Remy, you can't throw players underneath the bus like that, though. Like leaving them out to dry.
No, you can't. But also, too, I think I don't agree. I really don't agree with any of it. I don't think the fans booing like they have been is a good look. But it is there. They can. You've been terrible. You can be booed. I mean, that's how it is. The big issue for me is I'm looking at it. Francisco Lindor is batting. Where is he at here? I have to go a long ways down because he's batting in the low 200s. He is batting 224 on the season. Now, Francisco Lindor signed a 10-year, $341 million contract. 10 years is a long time to have a fan base hate you. So you might want to be careful. I mean, unless you're just trying to drive yourself out of New York already 1 year in. 10 years is a long time. That's a long time. They'll never forget that.
If I'm a baseball player, why would you ever want to go play as a Met? Why would you want to go play in that ballpark to begin with? It's so hard to hit home runs in that ballpark.
I've never understood.
Their fan base is terrible. They're always the little brother of the Yankees in New York. And, dude, I just don't get why you would lock up your future to an organization that sucked for so long. Like the Mets are here and there have had decent runs, but I mean, there was a time the Braves run the East and then the Phillies ran it for like 5 or so years. And now the Braves are back being the Braves. And it's like, you got to think about Jason Bay. Think about all these guys that locked up their future and they were just terrible.
Money, dude. Money. They just throw it at them and say, "Oh, God, please." But I mean, yeah, like I said, it's not good. They'll never forget that. Mets fans will never forget that. The only way you get out of this, you have to play out of your mind and you have to win a bunch of baseball games. And I don't think that's coming. You have to
probably win a World Series.
Yeah, or they'll hate you forever. So bad look. Bad look.
Braves are in a tough spot right now. They're going through a tough stretch. They have the Dodgers. They played the Dodgers last night. Drew Smiley sucks. Any Braves fans out there? I don't care. I don't care how many baseball games the Atlanta Braves have won. He started. You watch him pitch. He gives up 3 or 4 runs in 4 innings every time. It just happens. In fact, I think we paid him 12. He's on like a 1 year, $12 million deal. So
Is
we're
that
going to have to
bad?
run him out there. He is not good, man. His fastball is terrible. He throws the same pitch. I mean, his numbers are okay. But dude, if you just watch him, he was throwing BP last night.
Hey man, you're 10 games over 500.
Listen, I'm not.
You're on the way, dude.
Where we were is a mile away from where we are now. Now we look like an actual baseball team. But I'm sorry, I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. I'll expect greatness, and
just not out of Drew Smiley.
Just not out of Drew Smiley because he's terrible. I hope the Phillies keep losing. The Phillies got an easy schedule, so they're going to make a run at us. That's just facts. So we'll see how that end up shakes out. We have a question here from Travis here. We kind of talked about it a little bit ago. Does Cam play in the NFL this year after being cut? That's true. The Colts is a good spot. That was literally one of the first things we talked about in the video, Travis, and we kind of pretty much told. Like if Cam asked us our advice, it would be to wait and see when somebody drops because it's going to happen. It's the NFL. A starting quarterback will get hurt and, assess your situation. I wouldn't go straight into it and try to re-sign with the team immediately.
Yeah.
I would give it some time. So plus, I mean, to be fair, he got his signing bonus out of it.
Oh yeah. He's still getting paid.
Yo. What's up? What's up, Jay? How you doing, brother? Let's see. We got a question coming in. What's up, Jay? We got a question coming in from Caleb here. Does Watson get traded to Miami? So
let's go. The topic of the night for me, boys. I've been heated for days.
And first off, you got anything to show to the fan base of where you stand?
Do
I think this will show Remy's stance, what he believes. In Tua we trust, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also a giant Tua fan. Literally, their season, they said tank for Tua. They ended up winning more games. And they ended up still getting Tua. And I thought Tua looked good in the preseason. He's going to look sharp. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life come out of college. Now you got talent around him. I wish he had a running back, but dude, just talk a little bit about this. Right? I'm going to let you go off. Just go off, King.
This got me so heated the other day. We were sitting there and all of a sudden, I started texting. I was like, why is this happening again? There was an article that came out and said that the Dolphins and the Panthers were front runners for Deshaun Watson, just out of the blue, out of nowhere. I'm like, why? Why hasn't this died? This needs to end. We're 2 weeks away from the start of the season. This has got to go away. Now, all of a sudden, it picks up legs and it starts burning like a wildfire all over Twitter, all over Facebook, everything. There's national reporters out there. Miami's the front runner. Miami's might be making a trade here in the next couple of days. Might be finding a way to bring Deshaun Watson in. And I'm sitting here like, we don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to play football this year. It is still undetermined. We do not know. We do know that he will not be playing right now. As of right now, the Texans have said he will stay on the active roster. He will not play. So we know that much. Until we get some sort of finality from the FBI is investigating the man. So until we know, nothing should happen. He should stay in Houston until that all comes to light. First off. Second off, the trade was ridiculous. It was 3 firsts and 2 seconds was the reported asking price. You're insane. I'm not saying he's not worth it. What I'm saying is we drafted a quarterback. We drafted a quarterback with the number 5 pick last year. You don't give up on that guy after 9 games. 9 starts is what Tua's got. Imagine if the Bills had given up on Josh Allen after 9 starts.
After his first year, it was bad.
It would have been looking back, it would have been one of the biggest mistakes the franchise has ever made. I believe in Tua. Do I think Deshaun Watson is an upgrade over Tua right now at this moment? Yes, I do. I think Deshaun Watson is
He's been to the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's a better player.
He's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. The issue for me is this whole thing was to burn it down and build back up when we got Brian Flores. And like you said, we won more games than we should have that first year because we had 0 talent and Tua fell into our laps. We have spent this entire offseason building around Tua. We brought in co-offensive coordinators, guys that built the offense around Tua's skill set. We brought in his quarterback's coach is a guy that coached him up several times before the pass, a guy he's very comfortable with. He's actually the guy that calls the plays for us. We have brought in wide receiver talent. We brought in a former college teammate in Jalen Waddle. We've added a ton of weapons at the wide receiver position. And the man, if none of you probably follow the Dolphins like I do, in training camp and preseason, Tua Tagovailoa has looked unbelievable. He's looked very good. He made one bad pass in the Bears preseason game where he forced one in the end zone. And other than that, he's been fantastic. All I'm saying is you don't make this trade right now. If you come out and we're 4 weeks into the season, Tua doesn't have it, Deshaun's still sitting there in Houston, and we can get some sort of guarantees that he's not going to go to jail, then maybe you pull the trigger on this trade. But right now, it's unreal to me to think that you would give up on the number 5 overall pick from last year after 9 starts and not giving him a chance with real wide receivers.
My thing is, y'all are going to be a good football team.
Yes.
You don't need a week before a possible playoff team to come out and be like, we're going to go trade for a quarterback who has, sexual assault allegations, whatever, blah, 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 blah. A week before the season for a team that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
like the Dolphins are gonna be good this year.
The whole thing
it's a giant distraction. It's like I'd be so pissed, dude, if I was a Dolphins coach and this shit leaked.
Well, the big issues. There's been a couple of different things that have just drove me up the wall. So we played our preseason game on Sunday after all this stuff had come out, and they asked Brian Flores after the game, "Hey, what's going on with all the Deshaun Watson stuff?" And he kind of did his, as per policy, we don't talk about players that aren't on the team. We don't do that. We're focused on people that are Dolphins right now. And he did the exact opposite of like squashing it. I don't even care if you are talking to the Texans about getting Deshaun Watson. You squash it so people will stop talking about it. You go, no, we're not trying to trade for Deshaun Watson. We have our starting quarterback. Even if you don't think you do, you squash it right there. But they, team policy, whatever. I don't care. But so that's what I would have liked to have seen is either the head coach or someone in the front office come out and say, listen, Tua is the starting quarterback. Even if behind the scenes you're still trying to work out a deal, you got to get rid of this distraction because now all of a sudden Tua's got to be sitting there like, what the hell did I do? I've been busting ass all offseason trying to.
Tua has a bad game. They're gonna be like, all right, now we need to
we got to
mortgage our whole future away.
We got all those picks for Laramie Tunsil, and it's like, okay, now we can kind of play chess a little bit here with the NFL, and then we're like, oh no, we got traded all the way to get Deshaun Watson. I don't know. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
So I know there's a couple things I know with Deshaun Watson. If, and it's a big if, he ever plays again in the NFL, he's gonna get suspended for probably a year. So whenever all this clears up and they get a final, this is what he did, this is what he didn't do, you're going to get reinstated back in the NFL, which probably will not be this year. Then he's going to get suspended, probably for the whole year. So you're talking about maybe missing at the minimum a year, in my opinion. This is my opinion. Why, if you're a playoff team, you literally missed the playoffs by a game because you didn't beat Denver. Are you even entertaining the idea and not coming out and immediately squashing it? Where Tua's look great. It's the whole thing is weird. Where look what the Panthers did. The Panthers
squashed it. Was like squashed it.
No, we're going to run with Darnold.
We're going to run with Darnold. Yes, and so that's how you're supposed to handle that as a franchise. Now, with all of that being said, stuff came out today. One of the guys that was the original person that really pushed it out there and started leaking it again. Was interviewed on a podcast and was like, I didn't have any sources saying that there was internal talks. Basically, I was just going off of a process of elimination by teams that are not interested in Deshaun Watson. So he doesn't have anything from the organization saying that they're into it. Now, also, though, there's some truth to it somewhere in the Dolphins organization. Someone wants Deshaun Watson, or this would have been over by now. This would have been over.
Same with the Panthers.
It would have been dead by now. Also, that late this afternoon, a report came out that Brian Flores held a team meeting, and that he made it a point that Tua is our quarterback. Tua is the quarterback for Week 1. I don't know. Me personally, there's no way. Like I said, there's 2 weeks left before the season. You can't trade for a quarterback right now. It's just not the smart thing to do.
I will say, it makes. Who knows if he's ever going to play again? I will say if he was on the Carolina Panthers, the Panthers would be a playoff team this year. I believe that 100%. If the Panthers start sucking, because I hope Sam's good. Who knows with him, man? Because you watch him and you kind of watch him in that last preseason game. He looked great. He looked great. It was a preseason game. He looked great. His arm talent's insane. He makes crazy passes. But he's so scared in the pocket. You can still see it. What the Jets have done to him, they have crippled him so much. He really thinks he's going to get hit all the time. And I don't know if that's something you can ever change. So, if I was a Panther fan, I would be okay with mortgaging my future away for Watson. But that doesn't come 2 weeks before the season.
Yeah. And also, this isn't a knock on Deshaun Watson by any means. He is a superstar. There are franchises that I look at, and I've said this to multiple people. If I were the Denver Broncos, I offer the house to get Deshaun Watson, because you put Deshaun Watson on that offense, that team is terrifying to play. So there are situations and franchises that should make a move for a guy like him if he plays, if he plays. I'm just saying that the Miami Dolphins are not that situation.
We'll kind of answer Jay's question here. Is Watson worth the trade, or does he fight for a spot? He don't have a spot. He's not going to play for the Texans. He's going to end up getting traded. Where that trade is, that's going to yet to be seen. He's worth a trade. He's worth a flyer on a team that sucks. This doesn't have a good quarterback situation, but has a lot of talent and is missing. He can go big or go home. I like the Panthers. I get the Panthers link. I 100% get the Panthers link, because we have Sam Darnold. We have an option to extend him next year. We don't have a quarterback after this year. So I get all that. I just don't get the Tua Dolphins just completely throwing his head for a spin a week before the season. And it just doesn't make any sense. We'll kind of go down here. We got some questions here we're going to try to get to before we get out of here. I said, Jacob said, Remy, I drafted Jalen Waddle. Is he going to be any good? What do you think about Jalen Waddle?
I don't love his fantasy output this year. We have a lot of wide receivers. Now, whether they stay healthy or not is a big question. It's also a question with Jalen Waddle. He's going to be a big play guy. I think he's probably going to bust off some big touchdowns, but I'd say he's probably going to be around a 50 reception guy for 700-800 yards. Yeah, 700 yards. Somewhere in that range. Probably 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Which rookie year?
Rookie year, especially with a deep wide receiving core. Like I said, if healthy, you're talking about Devontae Parker. Albert Wilson's been playing out of his mind. Will Fuller comes back after the week 1 suspension. Preston Williams comes back. I mean, we've got a lot of wide receivers, and of course, we throw to Gesicki a lot.
I think he's the most talented on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he will be the number 1. It's just rookie wide receivers are so tough to like say, oh yeah, that guy's gonna be really good in fantasy this year.
Like I said, Jacob, kind of answering your question here, it's up to me. He's definitely has a high ceiling. He could have 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns this year. He could also have 400 yards and 2 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
It's a rookie wide receiver. You just don't know. You just don't know what you're going to get out of it. I think the opportunities are going to be there for him, and I think he's talented. We'll see. We'll kind of go down the list here. They said, does Watson redeem himself? Does Jameis Winston redeem himself for the Saints this year?
No. And I say that because who the hell is he throwing the football to?
Some undrafted rookie Callaway who had 2 insane catches.
Yeah, he did.
Listen, we know who Jameis Winston is. It's not all of a sudden Jameis Winston just found out how not to throw the ball to the other team. Like
he had LASIK surgery. What are you talking about?
Dude, that 1 year he had 5,000 passing yards, 30-something touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
He threw, so we looked this up the other day, he threw 7 pick sixes that year. Cam threw 8 touchdowns to the right team last year. So let that sink in. Jameis threw 7 pick sixes. And I'm not knocking, because Jameis is a talented guy. Clearly he threw for 5,000 yards. Not a lot of people have ever done that in the history of the game. Mm-hmm. It's all mental with him. He makes bad decisions, awful decisions, throws a lot of interceptions. But also, we're talking about he played for Tampa Bay. He had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and all these weapons around him in Tampa Bay. In New Orleans, he's got Alvin Kamara. And we already know Michael Thomas is out at least 6 weeks. He's on the PUP list. He's not playing at least the first 6 games, if he plays at all, because we know he doesn't want to be there. I don't see a big year for Jameis. I really don't. Like I said, it's just the situation is not great for him to come back and have a big
I don't see a
statistical
big
season.
year for the Saints. I think their defense is still solid. I don't think the Saints are going to be that good this year. I think the Panthers are probably going to be better than the Saints this year. But kind of going on Jameis, I'm never going to be like, this is Jameis's year. I can never. I'm not going to stick my neck on the line for that guy. I've seen him throw so many bad picks over the years where it's just kind of who he is. You know what I'm saying? And if he changes that this year and he comes out, then so be it. Then I'll be like, you know what? Good for you, Jameis. But we got to see it again next year because I ain't believing that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Clearly the talent's there. He was the number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, he's got arm talent.
All right. So we keep it going down here. We're getting some questions here. I'm loving the questions. Keep them coming. We'll sit here all night and just answer them. Jay said, do you think the NFL should relook at the current rules regarding protecting players who are often targeted by opposition who would tend to be injured beyond playing and rule in higher I don't know. You know, NFL's in a tough spot with just injuries in general. With the concussions and everything, they've already kind of wussified the game a little bit on the defensive end where the game is moving. The NFL moves so fast. So fast-paced. Now the defensive players are having to stop and think about what they're about to do, how they're about to make the tackle, how they're about to do. And I don't think it's possible, man. It's a gladiator sport, and me personally, I don't want it to any more rules about it.
Yeah.
I definitely think the crown of the helmet stuff, the targeting stuff, there's no room for that in the NFL. It also becomes such a judgment call on these refs, man.
I think it's tough I don't necessarily think that any single player is like looked at from a standpoint of, we got to hurt that guy. I don't think that's the mentality. I think that's just part of the game. And there's going to be guys, depending on what their job is. If your job is to catch slants across the middle, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hit hard. So, I don't necessarily think it's a ton of that going around. Now, I'm not saying there aren't individual players that go, I'm out to get somebody. Like that is possible.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you with the rules. I'm all for safety, but I'm also all for some of this stuff. There's not a lot of common sense that comes into some of it. There's hits out there where the guy ducks, and if the guy didn't duck, the defender would have hit him shoulder to shoulder. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, there's nothing a defensive player can do about that. They're going in for a proper tackle. The guy ducks his head down and gets his head in the way, and it's tough. Kind of
saying about NFL.
The quarterback thing has gotten out of control. I will say that. I saw a couple roughing the passers this week where it was just basically the dude tackled him, and they were like, 15 yards because he landed on him. Not even. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's tough. And like I said, man, it's just so inconsistent from game to game. I will say the violent stuff to where a ball's over a wide receiver's head and you just blow him up, that's a penalty. You should, that needs to be taken out of it. I hate the fact that in college football, if there's a targeting play, you get ejected.
Yeah.
Like that, they need to take that shit out immediately, because if you're a safety and the guy catches the ball and about to fall down and you hit him in the face because you're trying to target him in the chest, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're ejected out of the damn national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's devastating, man, for the kid. Like, you don't mean to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he's not – now, I think there should be levels to it, because there are some players – and this isn't necessarily in college. It's more so in the pros. There are guys who are literal headhunters. So, get that out of the game. Get that out of the game.
Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah. So, get out of here.
We got a question here coming off YouTube from Zach Barr. We have I think he was talking about Watson. Does he spend 2021 season on the commissioner's exempt list?
He's should.
I think so. I think he's going to miss all year, and he doesn't come off this list until the court stuff's figured out. And then after the court stuff's figured out, then he'll get handed a suspension.
Yeah, then the NFL lays
So,
down the punishment.
it's
But I
gonna-
do
it's-
think
It's
this is
probably
what
gonna
that
be-
list is made for, is stuff like
Right.
this. We don't know. I mean,
I think-
it's all still under investigation.
I think
So he should be on that.
If you have him in fantasy or in a dynasty league, you don't trade him. You just hold on to him, because he's not going to play football this year. I'm going out on the line. I'm going on the record right now. He's not going to play football this year, and
I don't
he
think
does.
so either.
And and we'll see about his suspension and all that kind of stuff coming down after it. Go down here and see here. Is it a breakout year for Bryan Edwards now that Brown has been released? To be honest with you, I think Brown was a guy that was just a back end roster guy from the rip anyway. Looking into Bryan Edwards' rookie campaign, riddled with injuries, but in the preseason, they were hyping this dude up.
Yes.
They were like, this dude's making crazy catches. He's going to be the number one. I think he has more talent than Ruggs. Ruggs is just a fast guy. He's just faster. It's going to be interesting to see how they play off each other. I think Ruggs is going to have a better year this year. Like I said, for those fast guys, man, they could have 800 yards receiving or 400 yards receiving. It's just no in between for the Ruggs kind of guys. To where Bryan Edwards is a guy who moves the chains. And the only thing that's going to stop Bryan Edwards for having a second, big breakout year, because he's their number one, is his injuries.
Yep.
Injuries.
If Bryan Edwards is healthy, he breaks out this year. He has a massive season. I think he goes in as the number one. Las Vegas is not afraid to throw the ball around. I think Edwards, if healthy, absolutely blows up. I think Ruggs has a place. He is a very fast, deep threat guy. And I think one of the big things he does is opens up that intermediate stuff for Bryan Edwards. So don't be surprised if Ruggs finishes with more yards, but I fully expect Edwards to lead the team in receptions and touchdowns. I think it's going to be a big year for Bryan Edwards.
I'm going to go as far as saying he leads all the categories in receiving. I think Bryan Edwards leads the Raiders in all categories.
Very
in receiving.
possible.
I really like him a lot this year. So if you have him in fantasy, he's a sleeper guy. I'll just put it to you this way. And if you know South Carolina football, he broke every South Carolina receiving record. The shambolic coaching staff that he had, and Jake Bentley was throwing him the football.
Yeah, the dude's talented.
The dude is talented. And Perry was, I don't know if it's Perry worked. I don't know, but
it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
So definitely I'm high on Bryan Edwards this year. Go down to Caleb here. Terrence Marshall for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Y'all know how much I love Terrence Marshall. If you listen to the past podcast, let me get to where I'm going, Remy, before you immediately shake your head at me. I think this dude had first round talent. He was amazing at LSU. He was just one of the guys that they kind of forgot about. You cannot make up 6'6" with speed and athleticism and hands out of the slot. The slot corner naturally is a smaller corner. So I think he's going to have a big year. I don't think he's going to have a big enough year to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that's not a knock on his talent.
No,
he's just wide receiver 3.
I'm not knocking the talent. I love the talent. I think he's a tremendous wide receiver. I think the pick was one of the best picks the entire draft. The issue for Offensive Rookie of the Year is opportunity. He, like you said, he is the third wide receiver. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, clearly 1 and 2. You have Christian McCaffrey coming back. He eats up a ton of targets as well. And your quarterback situation, Sam Darnold. We already talked about that. Right. So do I think he has a good year? Yes. Do I think his season's...
I think he has 600 yards, and I think he has more touchdowns, and really that's where you get his value.
But yeah,
I think he'll have 8 touchdowns because he's a red zone threat, but he's just not going to be a week in and week out kind of guy.
The opportunities just won't be there enough for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Great pick, great talent, will have a good year. I just don't see Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I mean, the future's so bright for the Panthers wide receiving core. They are legit. Yeah. Sam Darnold has no excuse because, man, oh, man, you know how much I love Terrence Marshall. Going down to Christian here. What's up, Christian, man? I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you're doing well, brother. He says, sup, guys? Do you think Broncos made the right choice at QB with Bridgewater?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he gives you the best chance to win.
Yeah.
You know what Teddy Bridgewater is at this point. He's a game manager. And what Broncos are really hoping is that defense is legit, and it's going to be good. I think that everyone's hyping up that defense. I think that defense is going to be good. It's relying on some key factors. We'll see. They drafted, Surtain. I like their secondary. We'll see. I like Chubb, but they want him to be a game manager. The problem is, man, when it comes down to it, you need so much more out of that position.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said I think Deshaun Watson in Denver, that team's a Super Bowl contending team. But
100%.
So the knock on Bridgewater, he, like you said, he's a game manager. He makes good decisions. He doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns, and he never has. I mean, even last year, he had a ton of yards. The Panthers wide receivers blew it up statistically. I mean, across the board, everyone put up big numbers, but he threw 16 touchdown passes. In today's NFL, 16 touchdown passes is not really getting it done. But Drew Lock, while Drew Lock's one of those guys, all the arm talent in the world. My man has got a ton of arm talent. He's one of the most confident dudes I've ever seen. My man can throw a pick and just come off the field dancing, hyped up.
Yeah.
It's insane. But we saw it last year out of Drew Lock. It's just not mentally, he doesn't make all the right decisions. He's inaccurate.
He's like a Jameis Winston with forcing and kind of
with less talent.
With less talent. And
I think Bridgewater is the right move here. And I say that especially because I absolutely love the pass catchers in Denver. I think between Judy, Sutton, Fant, Hamler, this team is loaded with weapons that can catch the football. So don't be surprised if Bridgewater doesn't have, the best year of his career, which is not saying much because it's like 20 touchdown passes, but I think it's the right move.
Loving the questions. We're going to continue to keep going down. We see them all. We're kind of going through them in a list here as they pop up in the chat. But yeah, man, I good to see you, Christian. Thanks for checking in, man. We have Travis here again. Last question. Do you think Colts win the AFC South, or do you think Titans take it? So this shows me a couple things, Travis. You ain't been listening to our podcast on Spotify.
Yeah, you got to catch up, bud.
Because we broke down the AFC in detail. And we love the Titans.
Oh yeah.
We
this year's the Titans pod.
This is a Titans pod. We just need them to get over this COVID kick that they're on. But we're big Titans guys. But you will also find out that I like the Colts as well. I have the Colts going in the playoffs as a wild card over the Steelers.
I have the records here. Okay. Both of us have the Titans at 14-3. And I have the Colts at 12-5. You have them at 11-6. Now, we talked about a lot. I'm not going to get too much detail, but it all comes down to Carson Wentz. If you get last year Carson Wentz, you win 5 football games because he was atrocious last year. If you get mediocre Carson Wentz, you're pushing for the playoffs. If you get good Carson Wentz, you're a playoff team. And with that defense, you could win any game at any time. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Carson Wentz is just too much of a wild card for me to say, yes, y'all are winning that division, when I know Tennessee is going to be stacked and added Julio Jones to that team. I think Tennessee is just going to be dominant.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely go back. And if you haven't, it's one of our last episodes you released. We break down deep the AFC. It's a good listen. We kind of go in depth about all the divisions and we kind of predict everything and stuff like that. So appreciate you. We got you, bro. I get a lot of people don't have time, but go back and check it out. Jay has said, my buddy Jay here, Remy, he's from Canada. He's kind of getting into it a little bit. We'll definitely break it down for you. Always here to help. Matt, my brother, said, Remy, when you moving to Arizona?
It's a great question, bud.
Hey, we need you to come out. We can do this shit live.
You're going to come pack me up?
Pack him up and sell his house and everything? Yeah, we'll do that for you. So this next question, shout out Eds from our league podcast. After this, we're going to put a link of their podcast and their information in our socials. Definitely give them a follow. We are later on this week doing a collab. We're going to be doing a podcast with the two guys from our league podcast. These two gentlemen are from overseas, across the pond. I think they live in London. One's a Chelsea fan and one's an Arsenal fan. and we're gonna have them on. We're gonna talk all kind of sports. We're gonna talk football, basketball, of course, soccer is football as they call it, and it's gonna be pretty cool. So be on the lookout for that. That's gonna be an interesting episode. But he says, how far can my Baltimore Ravens make it in the playoffs? Also, what do you think the New York Giants' chances with Dan Jones, Danny Dimes, and Barkley? So, kind of, pigeon-tailing off of what we said about the AFC, we broke down the Ravens in our last episode. We broke down the Ravens' record is what we think they're going to do, their schedule, and I have the Ravens in the playoffs. You have them. Do you have them missing the playoffs or in too?
I think I had them as the last. It all kind of just depends on how it plays out with records. But I had a bunch of teams going right around 11-6, and that's where I have the Ravens.
We had them both at 11-6, right?
Yes, we had them both at 11-6, and I think it all just comes down to tiebreakers, and because I have like 4 or 5 teams at 11-6. So
yeah, tiebreakers is going to be a big thing. And but yeah, I think the Ravens have a great team.
They're going to be, I think, in the regular season, they're going to be what we've been used to over the last couple of years. They're going to be a run-heavy team that controls the ball, controls the clock. This was before the loss of J.K. Dobbins. I think that hurts. But then again, maybe that just turns the Lamar Jackson show into another beast. It all comes down, as far as the playoffs, it all comes down to if Lamar Jackson can continue to improve as a passer. I will say that I like their receiving core. If they get Bateman back healthy, I like their receiving core a lot more than I did last year. I just don't like Hollywood Brown as a number one. I just don't see that.
Yeah.
So I think that they could do more. I think they can make a run. It'd just be interesting to see how they bounce back without Dobbins.
For the Ravens, it all comes back to their run game. If they can get back to running the football like they did a couple of years ago with Lamar, because Lamar's a great runner. He's a great play action guy. We haven't seen him take that next step as a pocket passer. And once you make him a pocket passer, that's when they're in trouble. They struggle from coming from behind in games. You kind of notice that. And it all depends on the offensive line and the defensive line. I think the Ravens have a good defense. We'll see how that stacks up. It's a tough division. I mean, the division's tough. And I think in this division, their skill position guys are dead last.
Mm-hmm.
They're even behind the Bengals. The Bengals' skill positions are insane. Steelers have really good wide receivers. The Browns have Odell Beckham, and they're the two-headed tandem at running back. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to see, it's going to be a lot of tight games, and we'll see. I think like I said, we both have them sneaking in the playoffs in the wild card. Going back to the Giants, I don't know, man. The NFC's weird. That division's going to be interesting with the Giants. Barkley's going to come back. I think Barkley's going to have a big year this year. They're going to kind of ease him in a little bit. The team's just not that great. And who knows what Danny Dimes ends up giving you at quarterback. He hasn't really shown too much progression yet. And it's because that, just like the Jets, the Giants have been in turmoil from top to bottom. I mean, they're just poorly ran. But they also are dealing with some injuries. They went out and got Kenny Golladay. He's hurt and stuff. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see with the Giants. I don't think they're going to be great this year.
Yeah.
They just have they're missing a lot of stuff.
I think for them, if you see progression in Danny Dimes, that's what matters. I don't think they're going to win a ton of games. I don't think they're a playoff team. But also, too, I think it's been unfair to judge Daniel Jones off of the last 2 years of not having a number one wide receiver and also Saquon getting hurt. So if you get a healthy Saquon, if they can get Kenny Golladay back, you can actually see what Daniel Jones does with an actual good wide receiver and arguably one of the best running backs talent-wise in the NFL in Barkley. If they can stay healthy and he takes a jump and proves that he's a legitimate starting quarterback, even if they don't win a ton of games, then that's a win for a season from them. They're not a Super Bowl contender, so it's irrelevant. So as long as you can see growth out of Daniel,
if you're a Giants fan,
Jones,
you just want to see growth. From Danny Dimes and the team. You just want to see,
and
hey,
health.
Man, we have a future.
Stay healthy.
And the last question here, we're kind of running a little long. Wow, we're
The questions came.
here.
The questions came rolling in, dude.
Yeah, the questions came rolling in. We appreciate your questions. We'll try to get this one in here. Zach also said, thoughts on Lakers bringing back Rondo. How's it fit with Westbrook on the team? We kind of had a lot. We broke down the Lakers pretty in depth earlier on. We think they're going to be a playoff team. They're in the best team in the West category. It's definitely finals or bust for this team. Rondo's not a guy. I mean, he's not going to bump heads. He's not going to get that many minutes. He's just a good, solid veteran. He can come in for the second unit and run the second unit. So
yeah. I mean, I love the Rondo pickup.
I love the pickup. I mean, he's going to get paid nothing, and you might as well have him on the team to help you out.
Their backup point guard last year was Alex Caruso. He's not a point guard, so
their second unit last year was so hard to watch.
Yeah, now they at least have somebody that could literally dribble the ball up the court, so that'll be helpful. I think he's a good fit and just good for the Lakers fan base to have him and Dwight back.
So. We appreciate everybody stopping by. This is our first, first live episode. I thought it went pretty well. We had some good viewers here. Thank y'all for hanging out with us, chilling, asking questions and everything. We're going to try to do at least one of these once a week where we just pop on here and we'll kind of give you a heads up more than, hey, in an hour, we're going to go live. We're going to give you more heads up. We're going to get some more, some more stuff where I can go over and I'll bring up an article and stuff like that, so we can kind of see it on the screen, so it just won't be me and you talking like that the whole time. And we'll get better at this as we go along. But hey, we got to start somewhere, and I'm glad we finally did it, man. It was fun. I appreciate.
Big shout out to everybody jumping in the chat, man. It started kind of slow. We had a couple people just popping in saying hey, and then all of a sudden those questions start rolling in. I think I don't know if it's the same for you. That's what I wanted to see, man. I just wanted to see some people get in here, interact, shoot some questions out. Let's just talk about it and run with it. So thank y'all so much.
Tell you our socials. Follow us on our Facebook page, Hard Pass Sports. Definitely subscribe on YouTube. YouTube's going to be a big thing for us. We're going to be releasing some stuff, live reactions, instant reactions to different kind of stuff on YouTube. Please, please, please subscribe and everything. We appreciate everybody on all those fronts. Look out for we're doing a collab podcast with our league podcast, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Look out for that on Spotify and stuff, and we're going to release some information on Twitter and stuff like that about that in the future. But yeah, man, it's time. Football's here.
I'm ready, dude. I'm ready.
Now everyone gets to put a beautiful, a face to those beautiful voices they get to hear all the time on Spotify. So
just in case
we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody stopping by once again. Thank y'all so much. And look out for what's going on. Allison just caught us on the way out here. And look out for a podcast. We're going to be releasing stuff. We have to still have to review the NFC coming out, and we're going to do our collab with, like I said, our league podcast. Look out for that coming later on this week. So that'll be it for me and Rim Breezy and the Hard Pass crew. You got anything to say anybody on the way out of here?
No, man, this was exactly what I wanted. This was awesome, man. Thank y'all once again so much for jumping in, giving us the questions, giving us the shout outs. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate the love and support. Tell everybody about us. Share us on your your Facebook and YouTube and Twitters and all that kind of stuff. We appreciate the support for real. And that'll be it. So we'll holler at y'all later. Peace.
Peace.